to another Everyone Hates This podcast video, and this is Stasta Talk with SHESH.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We're in India right now.
We're in India right now.
In one of our
Properties.
Not our properties, but
our
our
property, but
grandparents' properties.
yeah.
And we're here. We've been staying here for a month or so, but we're here. I don't know what other members, other people of the Everyone Hates This podcast is doing.
Yeah.
But we're here and we're shooting a pod right now. And recently, this whole month of this hiatus of us has really changed our perspective in life a lot more. And I've been asking the question. This is an episode. This segment of the podcast is I'm the owner. I'm the one owning it. So this is Stuff to Talk with SHESH. It's the stuff we're talking about today. The topic it might be a bit controversial for a lot of people that we're associated with, but we're just talk about it.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Is this life suffering, or do we just need the baddest bitch in the world to solve all our problems?
Do we
That
just
is
need
the
the
topic
baddest
of this
bitch?
discussion.
Just need the baddest women of all time. Solve life's problems.
I was gonna make sure. Don't worry about it. Do I just make sure it's filming?
Let it roll, bro.
Let it roll. Okay. Me personally, I've been battling with the concepts that this life is a suffering. Like whatever we're going through, it's so subjective. Is this the worst thing in the world? Is it really the worst thing in the world? What's your input in this?
Nick, like, can I say Nick?
Not
fuck it.
really. Not
Fuck
really. Not really. Not really.
Life is just life. Like I remember one of the. Actually, we gotta give props. Where props is due. Sadhguru, a philosopher, just a few hundred kilometers away from here, and he has an establishment where he brings people from all places. One of the quotes that he said, which I really like. Suffering is only what you put to it. Pain is there, but suffering is only something that you, yourself as the individual, places on it. Let's say somebody, I remember one of his stories is that he was driving on a motorbike and he fell and he had a huge crash on his leg.
And he a wound on his leg.
A wound on his leg, right? And he was bleeding. And then he went to the doctor, but he wasn't screaming out in pain or whatever. He was just talking. Constantly talking about things and he's just keeping his mind off things. And then the doctor asked him, "Man, why aren't you crying? Your leg is nearly like torn in half. How are you not?" He said, "Suffering is only what you place on it. It's not really what. Suffering is actually
What
subjective.
you make of it? It's so subjective.
It's subjective.
When we think about like what hurts us, or when we think about is this really the worst thing in the world? This is so subjective. I was talking about it with Sidhu before, that one person's hell could be another person's heaven. It really could. Like, think about it. If you think you're going through the worst thing in the world, another person would sacrifice anything just to be in your position. Especially us. From us, we live a privileged life. We live almost perfect life. Really think about it.
Just our uncle, he's an alcoholic for however many years, but then he lost both of his parents
When he was 13, 14.
13, 14. At 1 year old, he lost his, 1 or 2 years old, he lost his father. Then at 13, he lost his mom to cancer. So he was the man of the house, and he had to take care of his younger brother.
And
We
then-
lived a perfect life. Now he's drinking his pain away at this stage.
So then we have to ask ourselves, is this really a test? A lot of people that we associate with, they say life is a test, and I feel like they say that God only places only tests you on what you can really be tested on. For instance, people in Palestine, the Congo, Myanmar, in people in India as well who are really struggling, they're placed subjectively and objectively a harder
Hard
test
test.
on them, but we're getting the easier one. What is that? I feel like then we have to question ourselves: is it really even a test? Why are we so ungrateful with our life? Why are we so ungrateful?
Like,
I have to really ask ourselves
why are
that
we
question.
complaining about shit that we don't even need? We don't even need half the stuff we go care about. Oh, people think that like their life is the worst thing in life. Like that moment in time is the worst thing in life. I remember I got in trouble so many times in high school. A lot of the viewers will understand. Some of the viewers would know. I got in trouble tons, and I would think, man, this is the worst moment in life. It's the worst moment in life. And I was thinking, man, fuck. Why not living a better life? Like, what is wrong with me? I thought to myself, as high school finished, I was thinking, I look back onto that time, and I think, man, what a bitch. I should just be happy that I'm just even alive.
We should be so much happier with the small things. I don't know, this sort of mentality is not gonna stick with us forever. We'll forget it straight away. It's just like a normal human thing.
Yeah.
We forget it straight away.
We always get consumed by our desires at that very moment in time. So it is always very, very, very. It will be dependent on time.
It'll be dependent on time. Like one time I was thinking to myself, one time I was talking to another podcast member, King. He was saying
Kingston,
to, Kingston. He was saying to us, dude, you guys will reap the reward of whatever test you guys get. I say, what test is this? What test is this life? Life is not being tested. It hasn't tested us yet. And then once it tested us, you have to think to yourself, you have to be so much more grateful. No matter what, good or bad comes to you, you should be grateful. So grateful. This is such a hard thing to say. It's such a hard thing to conceive. But the people who really think like that are the ones who really stay at the top, in my opinion. Not even materialistic. I'm not even talking about success materialistically. I'm talking about spiritually. I'm talking about mentally. I'm talking about emotionally. Those people who think like that no matter what, they'll be happy with anything. They're the ones on top. And I think it should be our goal to think like that eventually. And it hasn't, like, we're not thinking like that right now, but it has to be like that eventually. Eventually. What did Tom and Paula say? Eventually. It has to be like that for the next generation as well.
One of the lessons that we learned here was there was a philosophy that we learned.
Give context in this trip. During this trip, we've been sent to a bunch of gurus to learn about
Like camps.
camps. But like I'm talking about, we've been taught by gurus about philosophies and the truest way of living.
Yeah.
That's all this whole month in India has been. My parents have sent, or gurus been asked, like,
Try and get realistically try and get the Muslim out of us.
not even the Muslim out of it. Think of different ideologies out of us.
Yeah.
And realistically, it says there, but we're
them,
everything and nothing at the same
same
time.
time,
That's
yeah.
what we try and accept everyone for who they are, despite whatever creed, race, religion, whatever. That's just what we are. But these guys preach the same thing, but at the same time, they have there's a little bit supremacy in there. There's a little bit of Indian supremacy, but they're good people.
One of the life goals to attain. It's not what you think it is, but they said what is to get rid of all fears of any moment that you have, to get rid of all fears of life. Let's say you're on such a large debt that you can't even pay it. You're literally in the worst position. This philosophy, this ideology, one of its greatest goals, like the peakest of its peak, is that you just don't fear anything. You don't fear anything. And I was thinking to myself, like, I fear so many things. I'm so scared of nearly everything. Everything. Like even just what people judge of me, how I think of how I'm doing about myself. I'm fearful of my own self, thinking that is my actions actually the right actions, or am I choosing the right decisions because of the burden I have, the burden that I've got, because of mentality, because of where we are right now. Everything is always displaced. It's never correct. I'm fearful of that, and and that one of the one of the pinnacle of that ideology is to get rid of all fears. And I guess that is something I want to attain to. I had a dream. From my age 40 to 50, I will learn fluent Arabic, and I'll travel to from 50 to 60. From that period of time, I'll travel to a country called Mauritania in West Africa. It's near the Sahara Desert, and I'll just live my life just for like 5-6 years. And I just want to just relax, just travel the country, speak, and become just something else. Just not escape reality, but just be part of another reality which most people are there. And, I can't put it into words, but that's something that was a life goal of mine.
I think there's a snake here, or like a mongoose around here. That's why our dog's been chasing something.
Nah, no, our dog just heard some wolves, some flipping, other dogs howling, so he's coming.
But there's something around here. There's probably a boar around here, something like a peacock or whatever. But one thing I was reminiscing through all those lessons, 30 or 40 hours of just them talking to us and us discussing and debating. To be honest, we become philosophers. We become students of religious texts, which I didn't want this freaking holiday to be, but it became that anyways. The concept, there's a line in Can't Tell Me Nothing that Kanye said, and I cried when I heard it. If you know the line, you know the line.
I could buy myself a place in heaven, but I
bought myself a necklace.
Yeah, put that shit on.
We are so ready to, whatever makes us happy, really, whatever truly makes us happy, in one point in your life and one point in our life, we could have attained it, but no. We chose the other way. Why is that? Kanye said he could have bought a place in heaven with all the money he attained.
He could have done so many good things.
But then he bought himself a necklace.
Are we just a slave to our own desires? Just like we can't even keep ourselves. Like if we have our promise to God, life, I want to attain any sort of value, any kind of freedom. We need to learn how to give to others.
We need to learn.
It's actually such a hard thing to do. I'm actually, like, if someone says, "Oh, I can't give charity," I understand. I totally understand.
We're so selfish in this world.
It's a hard thing to do, to get it over yourself, just to give charity, just to give a portion of your effort. Money is actually such a hard concept. It's a human-made concept, but it's something we always attain to. We're a slave to it at times. We desire it. We just want it. And I get it. When people are saying, I can't give, sorry, I just can't give the money right now. I really understand. Because you're just in a situation where you just can't give it. Because it's you put effort into that. And you attained it. But then you giving it away. You could have gave it. You could gave it away.
That's the whole answer. That is the whole thing.
You could give it away.
Why did Ye say that he could have bought a necklace when he could have bought himself a place in heaven? You could have given that money. You could have given that charity. It's just your thinking now. Every single time, as you grow older and older, you think to yourself, "Man, I was dumber before." Like even yesterday, I was thinking to myself,
"Man, I was dumber yesterday."
I was dumber yesterday, and tomorrow I'll think to myself, I'm dumber today. Like that's just how it is. We always regret our actions no matter what, but then like you always in your head you always think of, I could have done this differently, I could have talked to this person, I could have studied harder, I could have all this, I could have done all of this, but I hate to say it, but you could have. I always thought to myself, man, we failed at everything. We really did. But
we really failed it.
This is not over. The game is not over. That's the thing. This thing is not over. This test or whatever people say about it, it's not really over. And plus, what are you really tested for? It's your test. You're tested to be the best human that you can, and people are choosing to go the other way. And that's us as well. We choose to do the opposite, but at the same time, I think people can be forgiven for that because it's just a choice at that moment.
Yeah.
I think you'll eventually realize. eventually you're gonna tell me, Impala. I keep going back to that different thing, but eventually you'll realize. Really think about it. Objectively, you're okay. Really think about it. Objectively, you have. I know the people reviewing you think you're suffering, but be realistic.
What's suffering?
What is suffering? We saw my brother saw a video on them two. This guy
Palestine.
in Palestine. He lost 2 of his sons, and then the guy right next to him
He was crying. He was crying.
he was his father was crying. What do you expect? This guy was crying, of course. But
the individual that lost both of his sons started yelling at the individual who was crying in Palestine. He yelled at him, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying? There's no point in crying." This guy washed his face and
come back to the thing.
and he washed his face and said, "Man, both my children are gone." But just sometimes the idea of faith is so strong. Like it will help you get better over things. He said, "Both my children are martyrs, so they are in a better position than I am already." I said, "Oh my God, how can someone think like that? Like
How
he's
can he
already
even-
grateful of his position right now, that he's even the loss of both of his sons. He's able to. Oh my God."
You
my
should.
God.
Here's one thing though. You should be given the choice and the capability to grieve. Grieving is
Yeah.
something you should be able to do, and it should be allowed, and it should not be looked down upon. But this is he grieved, but at the same time he accepted. That's one thing we have to achieve and strive for: acceptance. Acceptance not from others. This is such a hard thing to do because I'm always thinking of what other people think of me, but like at the same time, we need to accept ourselves more than anyone else. That's the thing. When in Father Time, Kendrick was saying that how his dad, after his mother passed away, Kendrick said that his father's. Kendrick asked a question to him: "Why aren't you crying? Why aren't you sad?" He said, "The bill's got no silver spoon." Really,
The Bills
got no silver spoon. Like our life is we're moving on. Like if one of us passes on, if you pass away, people are gonna move on. That's just how life is.
I remember Aki Amen. Aki Amen said after his mother passed away, Aki Amen, a individual who provides what's the
Propagates
word?
Islam.
Not propagates Islam, but he's
He's a teacher.
he's a teacher, and he's one that promotes Islam in a way that's targeted to the youth, and it's like a motivational speaker. It's a motivational speaker, and he said, and I've listened to a few of his talks where his mother was a centrifugal part to his betterment after he done so many bad things, and he said after his mother was lost, oh my God, I actually, his mother made dua for him while he was in an emergency situation. His mother did so many things, and then after she died, Aki Amen was like, he didn't have no purpose to live, so all he did was just look forward to the next prayer. Just look forward to that next moment. Look forward to that next salah. Look forward into that next
Thing.
moment in time.
You don't even have to be Muslim to do this.
Yeah,
You just have to be human. Look forward to the next thing.
Yeah.
I always thought to myself, there's only one way up when you hit the rock bottom. It's up.
There's only one way, only one direction where you can go when you hit that bottom. Up. Basically, it's only up. Like, there's nothing you can do you can't get yourself down further because
You're at bottom. You're at the bottom. When I first came to this house in India, this is my grandparents' house, I was so scared to come because I hate to say it, but I think all the people in our family, they're not too happy of us.
happy of us.
They're not too happy of us, but like the only 3 people I have to say that gave us unconditional love is my grandmother from my dad's side, and my grandmother from my mom's side, and this dog. Only 3 things that will still give us unconditional love. And I hate to say it, that's just how life is. People are gonna
But
People
still,
go in and out of your lives. Even your own family will go in and out of your lives.
Yeah. SubhanAllah, they still love us.
Yeah.
Still love us.
Hopefully they'll still love us.
Even if we make decisions later on. I hope they still love us, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We can't control their emotions. We just got to do not what's right, but rather what's preferential to us.
But even then, preference, like these people at the guru thing, they wanted us to be the next generation of thinkers, spreading this sort of philosophies, stuff like that, this ideology, whatever. And I was so headstrong in saying no because it wasn't us that brought us there. It wasn't our curiosity that brought us there. These guys are such smart people. They wanted us to propagate the next generation of these thinkers, spread this philosophy, and I couldn't do it because they wanted us to be the next gurus or some shit like that, and I can't do it because right now I just can't. Like I wasn't there for that was the intention of us being brought there, and that was the intention of me being there. I thought that place was prison.
Yeah, like a prison.
Like a prison, a privileged prison.
Yeah, a privileged prison.
A privileged prison, but it was so subjective. But I could have stayed there. I could have done some great things, but whatever.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We move on.
Also, the concept of the baddest bitch.
This baddest bitch in the world. You guys gotta understand. I'm talking to the audience. I'm talking about my fellow podcast members who might think, "What is this title? What is this title?" Baddest bitch in the world. They could solve all our problems. With that necklace that Kanye bought, really could solve all his problems.
No.
Would that really solve? It could.
It could. Who knows? It could temporarily solve your problems.
With the baddest, it could be temporary. It could be forever. We don't know. But could the baddest bitch in the world just solve all the problems in the world? If I could just have some sort of girl like Pink Pantheress or something like that.
Like their wife. Or Taylor.
Or like Tyler, or like the flipping Janae Aiko, or
whatever.
some shit like that. If I was to be with them, could it solve all my problems? Because my problem right now is that we ain't nothing right now.
One thing I was rapping on my head. There was an instance where I was talking to me and my friend Shuhab. We sat next to two Arab girls, and I told them about how this is new to the concept, new to the religion, and she said, "Oh, it's whatever." Basic conversations like okay. After the basic back and forth, I told her, she's like, I said I'm not trying to talk to any guy. I haven't been talking to any girls. I haven't been talking to this. I've been partying or whatever. She's like, oh, you've been on your deen. I'm like, what's that? Oh, like, is that is your deen? I was like, deen? Yeah, I've just been doing that my whole life. Just not been doing anything. Am I on my deen?
Or are you lying to yourself?
Are you just a loser?
Are you just a loser? Or are you lying to yourself?
Yeah.
Because there's another smart individual that we read a bit of his words. There's one story he said.
Yeah.
Just try and imagine yourself in this situation. There's two men walking, and then they're walking to a brothel,
A prostitute place.
a place where they can pay money for sex, something along those lines. They're walking, and both of them, they hear
some religious text.
It could be the Bhagavad Gita, it could be the Bible, it could be the
Quran,
it could be the
Adhan going off. Okay, just imagine it. There's a religious text.
Something holy, something
holy, right?
Something holy, and both of them hear it, and then one of them, convinced with so much guilt, like, what the hell am I doing right now? Going to a prostitute, trying to just pay money for some pussy. He came and he went to that religious calling, which is like he went to. Let me explain to you. He went and it was either a lesson on the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible lesson, either a Quran lesson. It could be any lesson, just in your head. It could be any religious lesson. And then, but the other guy, he obviously went like.
He went to the brothel.
And then, after a while, there's a guy who went to the religious lesson. He was like thinking to himself, man,
I would have got some pussy.
Dude, my friend made the right decision. I should have got some pussy. I should have really done this. I should have really done that. But the other guy who went and got some pussy came. Let me explain. He came and he thought to himself, man, what did I do? What did I really do? I had this option of going to the religious teaching, whether it be the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, some Buddhist teachings, whatever. I could really have the option of going to that, but I chose pussy. I chose to pay money for sex even. It was no emotional thing, it was just pay money to sex. So he became ridden with guilt. But the other guy, he also became ridden with guilt on the opposite side. He thought to himself he chose the wrong. He thought to himself that his friend was having the best time of his life, while the other one is saying that his friend did the right thing. Who are you? Because I'm not gonna be capping here. The guy that I've always been is the guy who went to the religious thing. It's always been us. It's always been us. We're always jealous of the people who we think have a little bit more freedom.
A little bit. Like the idea of being a strict Muslim.
Not even that.
But the idea of being a
fucking Muslim thing. It's more serious than that.
Yeah, it's the idea of being like a strict individual. Like what we're doing in our life is just like people find it like a strict, like it's being a disciplined life. What discipline is this? It's just
wait. I don't think you're mixing.
Hold. Let me talk. You explain the story. Let me talk. The idea of being a strict individual in a way which is other people look. To me, I truly am like when I see somebody else just having a nice time, like not drinking, but like
they're with the bitch or something.
They're with their girl, they're with their thing, they're doing their thing, not having the burden of having this thought of just always just being cautious. Like I'm cautious on my every action because I wonder what the other individual would think of me, what this other individual would think of me, and I'll keep to my head saying that damn, like bro, I'm a bit jealous of that. I'm a bit jealous of that freedom. Like it's not freedom, but it's just like just having a little bit. If I have a little bit of it, I'm happy. But like I don't even have the opportunity to have a little bit of it.
You do have the.
I do have the opportunity.
You can make the opportunity,
but then
make it. But the thing is, one thing I think he's mistaken here. It's not even. A lot of people at uni, for instance, they always think, man, I'm not gonna do something like this. But then they feel jealous, especially me. They feel jealous when another person do it because damn, I want to know what they're doing. It's just curiosity. It's just curiosity at this point. And I'm thinking to myself, if I had really had the baddest bitch in the world, would it solve all my problems? And it was to objectively no, but subjectively yes. Right now, it would. There was a movie I was watching, Sleepless in Seattle, and one of the girls that were watching in 1950s, these two women, single. One of them was married, but she didn't like her marriage. She didn't like her marriage. The other one was single. So we're about to be engaged, but she's questioning her engagement. They were showing a movie where it was a 1950s movie of these two people. They were thinking our whole lives have been winter, but then do you want to enjoy this? We'll be fools of us. We'll be fools if we let this moment of spring go. Like, do you really think that this little bit moment of happiness will solve all the things? No, but I understand why people take it. I understand why people are doing all these things. It's just a little bit of spring that they're looking for. And to me, it can be dangerous, but it can also be beautiful at the same time. It's such a duality. This is the complexity of being a human. This is really the complexity of being human. It's not one way straight. Do this, do that, do that. No. It's so complex, more complex than that. People are so complex. If one person, this is to the other podcast members as well. If one person does the opposite thing that you thought was the right way, you should not look down upon them, because you don't know what's going on. The only person or only being that can judge you is the guy up top. It has to be someone greater than us that can judge you. How can you judge some person, but still you yourself are not the most perfect person in the world? Like you can't judge a person, but we do it instinctively. Like I'm not saying I won't judge a person ever in my life no more. I will. This is being true. I will, but I can't say anything about it because really I can't. Instinctively we'll judge, but I really can't say anything about it. At one point in my life, I would think that the baddest bitch in the world would solve all my problems. That's how it is.
I'll give it to Abu Tanya, a Dawa provider in the Islamic philosophy. He said, I will never look down on someone who's sinning. Never look down on them, because I was once in that position. the individual that you meet who's doing the worst thing possible. He could be selling drugs, he could be selling narcotics, he's just indulging in all these fantasies. And the next thing you know, he's the holiest person you ever seen in your life. Why were you having that judgment earlier, but then you change your judgment as soon as you saw that individual become just different?
You can't think of like that.
Can't think of like that.
You have to treat every single person the same.
Yeah.
Have to treat every single person the same, no matter who that is. You gotta treat him. You can't treat him like shit most of the time. You can't treat every single person.
You can't have this superiority complex where this is what I realized.
It's not us versus you.
Yeah.
It's never us versus you.
It's not us versus them.
It's not us versus them.
It's
People
not
have
them.
this idea.
Yeah.
Muslim versus Hindus. Christians versus
Muslims.
Muslims. Black people versus white people. Stuff like that. It should never be that. It should be only you versus you. Look at yourself before you look at someone else. Like, really look at yourself. I'm not the perfect person, but I'm trying to, little by little, I'll just make it my life a bit better. I'll try and be a better person. If I, for instance, this is just an example. If I'm stuck with listening to music, music is haram in the Muslim theology. But if I was a devout Muslim, I would let go of music. But no, as I see myself, pretend that I'm part of this. Just pretend. If I was to see myself doing this little by little, just stop listening to music on the train. Stop listening to music when you're going to bed. And then little by little things will change. And then eventually, you will eventually change. That's how change happens. I'm not talking about just music. I'm not talking about just Islamically. I'm talking about stuff like, let's say, you think you want to work out, but you're just too tired or
You're lazy.
You're lazy. Realistically, you're lazy. I don't want to say you're a fat piece of shit, but you just can't work out. Like, for instance, it was him. He couldn't work out.
Yeah,
He's not a fat piece of shit, but
I haven't been working out for nearly like 6 to 8 months now.
6 to 8 months, but then little by little, one time you're gonna work out. Then just try and go there tomorrow. Just do 50 push-ups one day. Just little by little, and then we'll still be so proud of you if you just take little steps. We were telling our mother, every single time our relationship goes 10 steps backwards, if we even go 0.1 step forward, I'm so happy.
Cool.
It's just, we have to do it like that. Even if we go 0.0001% forward, that is progress nonetheless. Then change can happen. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, the people who think that, I'm stuck in this place. Change can happen. Change really can happen. No matter who you are. No matter who you really are. Just think of it. Change can really happen. I was thinking to myself, like, it just, like, for instance, there's some stuff in my life that I have to keep. Like, there's some stuff in my life I have to keep. And I'm sorry if it hurts anyone, or just stuff like that, or if it goes against anything. There's some stuff in my life I have to keep. And I want to tell you, it's just what it is. I'm sorry if what that life is, it's just what it is. Maybe the next one will solve all our problems, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's the thing. Anyway.
And also the idea, let's continue on the topic of the baddest bitch in the world. As guys who never really have the opportunity to talk to women, whatever, we fantasize about women. That's literally all I think. Women.
And this could be the opposite spectrum for women as well.
Well, yeah.
Men, or whatever sexuality you're going through, realistically, whatever sexuality
whatever
it
you're
is,
going through,
you fantasize about something. It's a desire.
Yeah. For us right now, it's either women, religion, and for the past few months, it's been women and religion.
Month, it's just
past month, it's been just been women and religion in our mind. And I think in my mind of my future wife, like 100, maybe a million times over. This type of like lust, this type of dread. Let me just see who my. Relax. I'll take it day by day.
In Sanskrit, they call it karma. It's K-A-M-A.
Yeah.
They call it karma. Your desire for something. It's a normal human thing.
Yeah, your normal human desires.
But it should be controlled.
Yeah, it should be controlled.
You can't have too much of something. You can't have too less of something.
Yeah, you gotta have it just right.
It can be with every single thing in life. You can't have too much food, but you can't have.
You have to take everything into moderation. Otherwise, if you take anything anything over extreme or less, it's unhealthy. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not a materialistic person, I wish my wife is one of them. You know, typically I'm talking to you, them Somalis, who hope my wife sees this in the future. Even if I have a wife, or even if I marry a Somali, it'll be one of them Somali hijab girls who would party, not party, but like listen to music in a way where they'll like. One time I saw on Instagram, them Somali weddings. They're playing the Somali music and they're like and they're mosh pitting. These women mosh pitting. I'm not thinking, damn, that's like a perfect wife. To me, that's like a perfect wife.
This is like imperfect.
It's just like
You're
it's
imperfect.
That's why it makes you perfect. Yeah,
That's the thing.
you're imperfect. That's what makes you perfect. And I feel like, damn, I don't want to. I'm hoping my wife doesn't divorce me when I'm like 40, when I decide just to leave everything and just travel on my own,
Become a farak.
become a farak. And I really hope that my wife doesn't divorce me in any sort of way. And I don't know if I should introduce it to her on
the realest way we think.
yeah, like I should just magically out of nowhere, bang. Just like, you know, you always hear the concept in African American fathers where they just drop the milk and go. Not like that, but like I leave subtle hints that I'll go, and sometimes I just want to leave life and just become a farak. A farak is someone who just devotes themselves to God only, and just travels.
Not even just
Not
God, just-
even devoting themselves
He's
to
a
God.
nomad now.
Just a nomad, just like on their own.
We're beyond this.
We're beyond.
We're beyond.
Yeah, we're beyond everything. Like not beyond all the materialist things in the world. That's like my main goal. Is to get rid of all those things that drag me down.
It's such a hard thing to do. I don't even think we're gonna do it.
Like it's such a like that's what I'm giving myself at the age of 50.
And even then,
Even then it will be difficult because I'll be tied down by work, tied down by kids, tied down by my relationship, tied down by my house, tied down by everything. So all these things is just like what ties me down, and I want to get rid of it, inevitably. So yeah,
one thing I want to ask the audience about something. This thing about desires. Do you really think all your desires is one thing, but I think your desires will change time again. It just will change. Like what you think was perfect one time will not be perfect another. Like what you think is really the idealistic thing for you, but in your head, it's not. In the future, like one of the members called. He was telling me, when I'm 50, like all the decisions that we made as 19, 20, 21 year olds, even 13 year olds, you look back and think that it's the most stupidest decisions in the world. No one will ever think like you made the best decisions when you're 19 and stuff like that. It could be a possibility, but no one really does that. The majority don't do that. Everyone thinks that you were dumb before, but this other Indian philosopher, he was saying, you're not going from false to truth. You're going from truth to a higher level of truth.
Yeah.
You're only an eagle soaring in the sky, but when you find something else that makes you a better person, you're going to you're flying higher. You're flying higher and higher and higher until you just reach the sun. That's how this human life existence should be. You're not going from something false to truth. Let's say you were drinking alcohol and you stop drinking alcohol because it's bad for you. It can be bad for you, but I'm not mad at people drinking alcohol because this is a normal thing to do. But once you stop drinking alcohol at the start was never wrong. It was your truth at that time. But now you stop doing it, you're into a higher level of truth. You're going to a higher level of truth. That's
you can take this with any philosophy or any religious studies.
Or even any ideology.
Any concept. If you elevate yourself just a little bit, just 0.000, the nanosecond, just a nanopercent, just a very small percent, you're going to a high truth. You're going to an elevated self of realization. You're going of who you are, or what's your purpose. Like slowly, you're taking steps, taking gradual steps, which is the inevitable goal. Your main thing in life is just what is your priorities? Like, what's your purpose? You ask yourself, what is your purpose? Many people have their purpose just to gain money and make sure
Start a
that.
family,
But again, one
get
thing,
famous.
one thing that Kendrick always says is, I think is the I think is a base level. I think it's so common between every single individual. We're literally in an Indian country, right? We're in the countryside of India, and it's even common there. Even to Australia, into a metropolitan area in Australia, even to the areas of all over. I think the most everybody is trying to just make sure that their future generation kids are just like better. That's just I think that's our inevitable purpose.
Kendrick was saying in the Hard Part 5,
Yeah.
when he had the face of Nipsey Hussle. He was saying, just make sure the leaders and the babies are out of jail, and make sure the next generation are better than ours. We really need to do that. The next generation should be way better than ours.
They talk about generational wealth. That's something that nobody, like only a small percent of us, can ever attain.
We're talking about generational happiness. The next generation, our parents right now, your parents as well. Most of you guys are ethnic. Your parents as well sacrifice so much. You have to understand what they're doing, so you can't look at them as the opposite side. You gotta look at them as another you. You gotta look at every single person as another you. You could have been that person in another life. You could be that person in another universe. But now you're this person now.
You are who you are.
You are who you are right now. So, in this life, you gotta always make sure treat everyone respectfully. Make sure you get the things that you get, the stuff that you do, get done now. Like I'm talking about paying off your debts. Work hard for it. That should be your ultimate. That should be your goals. Your small little goals. Get fit. Eat healthy.
Find a good.
Maintain good relationships
kids,
with
yeah.
other people that you really think are close to you. And then whatever happens then, happens then. But then after you think you completed life, you're doing good. And then you're feeling every single time you do bad, you feel good. Every time you reject something that is bad for you, you feel good. But every single time you do something good, like intuitively, you feel good as well. After you reach that, you become, in my eyes, a perfect human. But there's still, in Indian philosophy, there's still one more thing: realization with God. But even then, I think not every human will do that. Not even. It's just a small minority. But even then, just try and aim for 3. Become a good person. Do it for the next generation, and always be happy with whatever you have. So these 3 things, I promise you, it will be better. And even then, even if you do get the baddest bitch in the world, and even if you do think this life is suffering, hopefully the next time, the girl you're gonna get, or the guy you're gonna get, or whatever you're gonna get, will be your baddest bitch in the world. You know what I'm saying? It'll be yours. That's what I'm saying. You have to be happy with what's yours right now. You can attain for something greater, and you'll eventually be happy with the next life as well. If it's today you think it's suffering, in the next, it'll be alright. God will take it into account. They will. Because we are perfect.
Don't think anything that you see and anything you realize is not going unheard of. It's being heard of. Every moment that you think that you feeling like the worst moment in your life, and you thinking no one is feeling this but me. No one is feeling. No. Relax.
Someone at one point in their life also experienced this.
Yeah.
And throughout the past generations of human existence,
they've probably experienced that sort of emotion.
Some other person also may have thought the exact same way that you had.
Yeah.
No one. I always think to myself, no one has ever. I'm not unique. No one has ever. Someone at one point in time has thought of something.
The exact same thing.
Exact same thing. It has to be. We're at least 1 million years.
Maybe like 500,000 years into, maybe 200,000 years into our
human existence,
and we've taken so much
leaps and bounds in a short period of time. So we have to had something of great, like we have something of value that other people don't, other beings don't. I'm not saying this dog is lesser than us. No, he's the same thing as me. He's just me in another life. That's just how it is.
Just another me. Lucky just said. What did Lucky say?
What did Lucky say? My brother another me.
My brother is another me. Think of everybody as like an extension of yourself. Don't feel like you're only responsible for only a small minority. Really think that you have the duty of care to nearly every single person.
But if anyone does bad to you, yes, there will be. Yes,
there'll be.
You can do something bad. I'm not saying you can do something bad to them, but like, it's. I'm not gonna look past it if you say, let's say, for instance, the flipping Zionists are destroying Palestine. Yes, them guys are they're idiots. What are they doing? If something bad happens to them, I know that.
You
in
just gotta be
the
the
West,
better man. You just gotta be the
Everything
better
will. What does it say? Anything you do good, good will come back to you. Anything you do bad, bad will come back to you.
That's
So
it.
eventually,
man. Yeah,
eventually.
eventually. And don't think the people in Palestine who are suffering,
Or even if
immensely,
not, just in
not
Palestine.
in Palestine, but just anywhere who are suffering, don't think that their lives are not like their suffering is not heard of. It is heard of. It is heard of. Please make praise for them. Make praise for them.
Or
But
wish
don't-
for good.
or wish for good luck for them. But then don't think their suffering is not like it's. Don't think it's like it's going by.
And also one thing, your suffering is not really suffering at all. Really think about it. It's not
Pain is necessary. Pain has to come. But suffering is just what you put to it. A nigga from the
brother
Congos, where they're mining for this Apple product right here. They're probably happy with the smaller thing. I remember one time I was watching the Palestinian kids ask what their wishes were. What their wishes were. One of them says, "I wish to see my brother. I just wish to have some candy in my mouth. I just wish to do this." Really, what is your suffering? Is it nothing? Is it truly anything at all? Is it really anything at all you're suffering? Just
Well-
you can't just we're not mad at you. We're not mad at you if you think it is, because it's
That's
human
just
to do.
human.
It's
That's
human
human.
to think so. It's so human to think so. But think in another perspective and think, are you like, do you need the baddest bitch in the world, or are you suffering? Think that. Think those two extremities, and you can place that baddest bitch with any desirable construct. Just think, are you actually suffering, or are you just need the baddest bitch in the world? Do you just need your dream wife just to come out of here? No, relax.
Relax, man.
Just relax.
Eventually, time will come.
Time. Remember,
You'll
time-
eventually find the baddest bitch in the world.
Eventually you will. You will.
Eventually, yes.
Yes, you will. Like, don't think that attainment is not gonna come. If you want it, you can get it. But do it right. Like, don't do it. Let me get some boozy. Let me get some boozy. I was thinking,
no.
bro, I always think that, man. Let me get some nash. Let me just get some pussy.
No, time will come.
Time will come. Time will come.
If you're exercising, if you're finding any mental hurdle right now, time will come. You'll find a way to get through it. You'll find a way. Let's say an easy thing is marks. We thought studying was like a flipping the worst thing in the world. You thought in year 12 you're going through the worst thing in the world. Realistically, no.
No. Realistically, you're not. You're not going to the worst thing in the world. You're just at a moment in time where you
Think it's the worst, but
you
it's
think
not.
it's worse, but it's not. Suffering is only what you put to it. But is it really suffering at all?
Yeah, is it really suffering at all? I think we'll conclude the podcast.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We'll conclude the podcast right now. No matter what language we're speaking, no matter everyone hates this podcast, make sure you subscribe, comment, whatever. I'm not even doing it for the flipping fame,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'm just doing it just as a recording. So when I'm 50, I can just look back and think, what the hell was I thinking? That's probably about it. Shout out to the dog right here.
Shout out to the dog.
Shout out to the dog. Shout out to Naya. Shout out to him, man.